The birth, 1898 to 1929. Before Serie A existed, Italian football was basically a polite mess. No real league, just a patchwork of regional tournaments held under the illusion of national competition. The first championship, 4 teams. One day, Genoa won. They played 2 matches and became champions of Italy. Not even enough time for halftime oranges. And they dominated the next few years, not because of tactics or talent, but because they were English expats with boots, while others showed up in loafers. The early years were wild. Teams like Pro Vercelli, made up of local school kids, crushed grown men. No, really, teenagers winning titles. Football was more passion project than profession. Southern clubs didn't stand a chance. Travel was too expensive. Infrastructure? Non-existent. The sport spread slowly, from Milan to Turin to Bologna, each city trying to build something out of nothing. It was chaotic, local, and gloriously amateur, but the foundations were laid. The round-robin revolution, 1929 to 1943. In 1929, Serie A was born in its modern form. A national round-robin league, one table, one champion, simple on paper, revolutionary for Italy. But this was fascist Italy, and football became more than a game. Mussolini used the sport to promote national unity and pride. He demanded victories, both domestic and international, and he got them. Juventus won 5 consecutive titles in the 1930s, with a squad stacked with legends like Felice Borel and Raimundo Orsi. Bologna weren't far behind, physical, aggressive, and proud of it. Their fans called them the team that makes the world tremble. Not subtle, but accurate. The national team, fueled by Serie A stars, won 2 World Cups in 1934 and 1938. Football became Italy's most potent propaganda weapon, but as war loomed, clubs began to struggle. The 1943 season collapsed midway. Players went to the front lines, stadiums became shelters. Football, once Italy's national pride, fell silent. The Grande Torino era, 1946 to 1949. After World War II, Italy needed heroes. Torino answered the call. Il Grande Torino was more than dominant. They were devastating, fast, technical, united. They didn't just win, they entertained. Their style was fluid, built around short passing, tactical flexibility, and breathtaking movement. They won 4 straight post-war titles and were leading the league again when tragedy struck. On May 4th, 1949, the Superga disaster. The plane carrying the team crashed into a hillside near Turin. 31 people died. An entire squad gone. The country mourned, and the final matches of the season were played by Torino's youth team. Their opponents fielded youth teams in solidarity. It was one of football's darkest moments, and one of its most dignified. The Catenaccio age, 1950s to early 1970s, post-Torino, Serie A rebranded itself as a fortress. Italy turned to defense. Catenaccio, the doorbolt, wasn't just a tactic, it was an ideology. Protect the house. Hit on the break, win 1-0. Nerio Rocco's Milan perfected it. Helenio Herrera's Inter elevated it to an art form. Under Herrera, La Grande Inter won 3 league titles and back-to-back European Cups. Giacinto Facchetti bombed forward from fullback before that was even a thing. Sandro Mazzola pulled strings in midfield. It wasn't beautiful, but it was brutal and effective. Juventus and Bologna followed suit. Matches became trench warfare. Clean sheets were more valuable than goals. Fans fell in love with the suffering. 1-0 wasn't boring. It was intellectual. Serie A became known as the place where strikers go to die and defenders go to become legends. The golden striker era, 1970s. But Italy couldn't defend forever. Eventually, someone had to shoot. Enter Gigi Riva, Cagliari's cannon. He dragged a tiny Sardinian club to the 1970s Scudetto almost by himself. Then came Roberto Bottega at Juventus, Paolo Pulici at Torino, and Paolo Rossi, who would later carry Italy to World Cup glory. This era saw a little less structure, a little more chaos. Tactics became more experimental. Coaches tried libero systems, wingbacks, and midfield triangles. The league diversified. Napoli, Lazio, Roma, and Fiorentina all had their moments. Even Verona flirted with title contention. Fan culture exploded. Derbies became volcanic. Flares, banners, drumlines. Italian football wasn't just a sport, it was a lifestyle. The foreign invasion, 1980s. After decades of isolation, Seria lifted its foreign player ban, and football's brightest stars rushed in. Zico dazzled at Udinese, Falcao redefined midfield play at Roma, Platini scored in bunches for Juventus, Socrates flirted with a move, and then came Maradona. When Diego Armando Maradona landed in Naples in 1984, it changed everything. Napoli, a southern club in a northern-dominated league, became contenders. Diego brought skill, swagger, and chaos. He won 2 league titles, a UEFA Cup, and eternal love. For Neapolitans, he wasn't a player, he was a god. Meanwhile, Arrigo Sacchi's Milan created football's first pressing machine. Van Basten, Rijkaard, and Gullit led the line, but the real weapon was the system. Compact, intense, suffocating. This wasn't just Serie A's rebirth, it was its renaissance. The golden age? 1990s. No argument. The 1990s were the peak of Serie A period. TV money flowed in, clubs built super squads. Parma had Buffon, Thuram, Crespo, Varane. Lazio had Nedved, Mihajlovic, and Vieri. Roma had Totti, Cafu, and Batistuta. Juventus had Zidane and Del Piero. Milan had Baresi, Maldini, Savicevic. The Champions League, dominated by Italians. 3 finals in a row featured Serie A sides. The UEFA Cup often had all Italian semifinals. You didn't just tune in to watch football, you tuned in to see the best football. Every team had identity. Every match was must watch. Serie A was glamorous and respected. The world watched. The players dreamed of joining. Italian football became global football. The collapse, early 2000s to mid 2010. Then came the decline, and it was steep. First came Calciopoli, referees were manipulated, titles were stripped, Juventus went to Serie B, the scandal exposed deep corruption, and even deeper denial. Then came the money gap, Premier League clubs got rich, Spain built global branding, Italy stayed stuck in the 90s, stadiums aged, infrastructure crumbled, youth systems dried up, Serie A went from feeding the world to feeding off scraps. The stars left, the fans dwindled, even Italian TV audiences dropped. Milan and Inter faded, Roma and Lazio hovered in limbo. The magic gone. Even the national team suffered. A World Cup win in 2006 gave brief hope. But what followed? Group stage exits. A failure to qualify in 2018. Serie A became yesterday's league. The Juventus monopoly, 2012 to 2020. Juventus rose from the ashes and took over. They built a new stadium, created a culture of winning, bought smart, sold smarter, then bought again. Antonio Conte started the machine. Massimiliano Allegri kept it humming. Maurizio Sarri made it pass. Andrea Pirlo made it confusing, but the results didn't change. They dominated everyone, from Chiellini to Dybala, from Higuain to Ronaldo. They steamrolled the league. 9 straight titles, 0 real competition. Napoli played beautiful football under Sarri. Roma gave hope under Spalletti. Inter invested under Spalletti too, but none could break the black and white wall. Outside of Juventus, Serie A felt frozen. The revival, 2020s onward. Finally, the monopoly crumbled and the league woke up. Conte's Inter broke the streak in 2021 with relentless energy. Milan followed in 2022 with youth, cohesion, and belief. Then Napoli stunned the world in 2023 with electrifying football under Spalletti. Now Serie A is wide open. 6 or 7 clubs believe they can win. Even Atalanta, yes, Atalanta are a threat every season. The tactics are back. The stadiums are fuller. The fans believe again. And for the first time in decades, Europe is watching again. Serie A isn't trying to copy the Premier League anymore. It's embracing its own chaos, beauty, grit, and madness. It's not nostalgia. It's a new era built on old fire.